The galactic conference hall hummed with the soft bioluminescence of 1,000 different species. Elsa Chen sat motionless in the observation deck, her presence unnoticed behind the one-way viewing panel. The human xenobiologist had arrived early for the Interspecies Taxonomy Summit, hopping to review her presentation on Earth's ecosystem classification. What she found instead was far more interesting. "Impossible," chittered Verk, a Xanthari scholar whose crystalline carapace refracted the ambient light into prismatic patterns. His 4 optical sensors focused on the holographic display hovering above the conference table. No planet with a gravitational constant above 1.2 standard could sustain complex life. The metabolic requirements alone would. "Yet the data is irrefutable," interrupted S.H. Lara, a flowing mass of semi-intelligent gel from the Hydranus cluster. Her translucent form pulsed with what Elsa recognized as agitation. "This Earth exists. Gravity, 1 standard. Atmospheric pressure, 101.3 kilopascals at sea level. Oxygen concentration, 21%. Verk's mandibles clicked in the Xanthari equivalent of laughter. 21% oxygen. That's a fire hazard waiting to happen. And did you note the tectonic activity? 97 major fault lines. Active volcanism on every continent. The planet is literally tearing itself apart." Elsa smiled despite herself. She'd heard similar reactions before when presenting Earth data to alien colleagues, but never so candidly. "The weather patterns are absurd," added Krell, a silicon-based lifeform whose voice resonated through a translator embedded in his rocky exterior. "Temperature fluctuations of 80 degrees Celsius between seasons in some regions. Hurricanes with wind speeds exceeding 250 kilometers per hour. Electrical storms that discharge billions of joules of energy in milliseconds." "Don't forget the radiation," S.H. Lara added, her gelatinous form rippling. "That star they orbit, Sol, they call it, emits harmful UV radiation across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Without atmospheric shielding, surface life would be sterilized in hours." Verk manipulated the hologram, zooming in on a cross-section of Earth's biosphere. "What disturbs me most is the predation data. Look at this food chain complexity. On civilized worlds, we have perhaps 3 trophic levels. Earth has documented cases of 7 or 8 levels. The entire planet is designed around consumption." "Designed around murder, you mean?" Krell rumbled. "I've been reviewing their fauna databases. Did you know that one of their apex predators, the great white shark, has existed virtually unchanged for 400 million years? It's a perfect killing machine that's had no evolutionary pressure to become anything else." Elsa's fingers tightened on her data pad. She'd studied Carcharodon carcharias extensively during her marine biology phase. Magnificent creatures, really. "Sharks are nothing." S.H. Lara's form darkened to a deep purple. "I've been analyzing their terrestrial megafauna. The African elephant can exert 40,000 newtons of force with its trunk alone. The saltwater crocodile has a bite force exceeding 16,000 newtons per square centimeter. These aren't just predators, they're living weapons." "Yet none of that compares to the dominant species," Verk said quietly, his optical sensors dimming. "Homo sapiens." The conference room fell silent. Elsa leaned forward, her heart rate increasing slightly. "I've spent 3 standard months analyzing their evolutionary history," Verk continued. "They evolved from persistence hunters, creatures that would track prey for days, literally running their victims to death through exhaustion. Their musculoskeletal system is optimized for endurance and explosive power simultaneously." Krell's rocky surface cracked in agitation. "I read the same reports. Their bodies produce adrenaline, a chemical that temporarily increases strength, pain tolerance, and reaction time during threatening situations. They're essentially organic combat stimulants." "The binocular vision," S.H. Lara added, "is characteristic of predator species. They sacrifice peripheral awareness for depth perception and targeting accuracy. And those forward-facing eyes. Every prey species in the galaxy has lateral eye placement for maximum awareness. Only predators have evolved forward-facing eyes. Verk brought up a new hologram, a human skeleton. Look at the bone density. The skeletal structure can withstand impacts that would shatter most species. I found documented cases of humans surviving falls from heights exceeding 50 meters. And their healing factor, bones that break can fuse back together stronger than before. Soft tissue regenerates. Even their largest organ, the skin, constantly replaces itself. They're built for damage, Krell observed, both inflicting and receiving. There's more. Verk's voice carried a note of what Elsa could only interpret as fear. Their cognition. I've analyzed their neural architecture. The human brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons with trillions of synaptic connections. They possess something called theory of mind, the ability to model and predict the mental states of other beings. Why is that terrifying? Laura asked. Because, Verk explained, it means they evolved to outthink their prey and their predators. They can anticipate behavior, plan complex hunts, and coordinate group tactics. But here's what truly disturbs me. They apply this same cognitive ability to problem-solving, tool creation, and abstract reasoning. Verk pulled up another dataset. In less than 10,000 years, a cosmic eye blink, they went from hunter-gatherers to splitting the atom. They've sent probes beyond their solar system. They've mapped their own genome. And they did all of this while living on a planet that actively tries to kill them. The death world factor, Krell said, understanding dawning in his translated voice. Precisely, Verk confirmed. Every environmental pressure that should have driven them to extinction instead selected for greater intelligence, adaptability, and resilience. They live on a world where 99.9% of all species that ever existed have gone extinct, yet somehow they thrived. Elsa felt a strange mix of pride and discomfort. She'd never thought of her species in quite these terms. I found something else, Lara said, her form pulsing nervously. They're entertainment media. I reviewed what they call fiction and cinema. Do you know what they create stories about? Surviving disasters, fighting monsters, exploring hostile environments, overcoming impossible odds. Their entertainment is literally about enduring scenarios that would be horror genres for any other species. They romanticize struggle, Verk observed. I found historical records of their sporting events. They engage in ritualized combat for recreation. They voluntarily subject themselves to extreme physical challenges. There's one event called a marathon where they run over 40 kilometers without stopping, commemorating a messenger who ran that distance then died from exhaustion. And they celebrate this. They're insane, Krell stated flatly. No, Verk corrected, they're adapted, perfectly, terrifyingly adapted to their environment, and now they're coming to the stars. The silence that followed was heavy with implication. What do we do? Lara asked. The summit, Verk said. We were asked to classify Earth's biosphere for the galactic census. I propose we classify it as a Class 12 death world, extreme hazard, recommend quarantine protocols. That seems excessive, Krell rumbled, though without conviction. Is it? Verk challenged. A species that evolved on a planet that actively encourages violence, that rewards aggression with survival, that literally made them into apex predators of apex predators. What happens when they bring that evolutionary heritage to the peaceful regions of the galaxy? Elsa had heard enough. She stood, smoothed her conference jacket, and walked toward the entrance to the main hall. Her footsteps, deliberately heavy, echoed in the corridor. The conversation in the conference room ceased abruptly. She entered through the main doors, offering a polite smile to the assembled xenobiologists. I hope I'm not late. Dr. Elsa Chen, Earth's representative for the Taxonomy Summit. 3 different species stared at her with varying expressions of shock. Dr. Chen, Verk managed, his optical sensors focusing and refocusing. "We weren't expecting you until the formal session." "I arrived early," Elsa said pleasantly, setting her data pad on the table. "I hope you don't mind. I couldn't help but overhear some of your discussion." She paused, meeting Verk's crystalline gaze directly. It was quite enlightening. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. "I want to address some misconceptions," Elsa continued, her voice calm and measured, the tone of a predator that didn't need to posture because it had nothing to prove. "Yes, Earth is dangerous. Yes, humans are the product of millions of years of evolutionary pressures, but you've missed the most important adaptation we developed." "And what is that?" Verk asked cautiously. "Empathy," Elsa said simply. "The same theory of mind that makes us effective hunters also makes us capable of understanding suffering, of cooperation across genetic lines, of choosing kindness even when violence would be easier. We learned that survival isn't just about being the strongest. It's about building communities, forming alliances, and protecting those weaker than ourselves." She activated her own hologram, showing images of human history, not just the wars and conflicts, but the art, the medicine, the moments of breathtaking compassion. "We are predators," Elsa acknowledged. "We come from a death world, but we're also more than that. And perhaps that's the real reason we survived when 99.9% of species didn't. We learned to be more than our environment demanded." Verk's mandibles clicked softly, contemplation. Elsa had learned rather than amusement. "Dr. Chen," he said finally, "I believe this summit will be far more interesting than I anticipated." Elsa smiled, a very human expression that showed her flat, omnivorous teeth. "I certainly hope so, Verk. I certainly hope so."